Welcome back to the show. Before we start, you can help families impacted by the California wildfires. You can visit go.fox/Red Cross, or you can scan the QR code on your screen there. Your donation enables the Red Cross to respond to and help people recover from this disaster. So if you can donate, please do. Okay, bro, where do your Ravens go from here?
I want him back. I want Marlon Humphrey back for sure. He had a great year. Let's start with Harbaugh. I got questioned. You know, the last few years, I've questioned him. I know he's a great coach.
Wilds wanted to fire him.
I think.
You may want to fire him. I don't want to fire him. I want to bring him back. I don't want to say you got one more year left to prove something, but I'm kind of thinking that in the back of my mind if I'm their front office. But look, let's just keep it real. I feel about the Ravens like I feel about the Bengals. Obviously, the Chiefs win Super Bowls, but the Bills, any of these teams with the elite,
window open.
Yeah, as long as you got Lamar, the window's open. And when you look at this team, the offensive line was good and could get better. I know Ronnie Stanley is a free agent. I like him.
Guards,
yeah, I probably want to bring him back. Obviously, you got the running back set. I think Derrick Henry will be fine next year. Receivers are fine. Yeah, I'd like to add somebody maybe through the draft, but another explosive receiver. Defense, I think, is going to get better. Zach Orr will be in his second year as the defensive coordinator. I don't know if Dean Pease will be there, but, and that's their culture. They're going to be good defensively. It's about Lamar, and Lamar had some steps this year. Obviously, his best regular season. Got the Steelers monkey off his back. Played well in the playoff game except for the 2 plays, but he came back from that. Showed some mental toughness by coming back from the 2 mistakes. And like I said yesterday, look, to me, Lamar just has to realize, and I would talk to him about them this offseason, you don't have to make every play spectacular in the playoffs.
Take a play out of Josh Allen's book this year?
Yeah, like you joke, Nick, about, you're somewhat serious, so they should have taken the ball out of the MVP's hands. Lamar, we talked about it last year, this year. That's what they did in Buffalo. He's not the MVP, but they had Josh Allen do less. And I think there's almost this tug of war, maybe even subconsciously, now that they have Derrick Henry, of do we let Derrick Henry outshine Lamar? I know that's not what they're thinking, but it's like, why didn't you give him the rock more? It's like, if you win, Lamar's going to get credit, period. No matter how you win.
Hold on, real quick, for this game. I understand the 20 carries thing. Also, Justice Hill had a half dozen, probably more than he normally would because they were so good. Lamar had 3 scrambles, and Derrick Henry had 6, right? So Lamar threw 25 passes. I think they had 27 runs. Like that, it's not as if they threw the ball 40 times in this game.
But the goal line, the 2-point conversions.
I agree with that entirely. I didn't look at it as they abandoned the run and that's why they lost.
It wasn't like the Chiefs game at all.
No, the Chiefs game, they did not give the ball to running backs after the opening drive, essentially. I was joking. Wilds doesn't want Harbaugh fired. I just think you want some scrutiny and not to fall purely on Lamar. I don't want to put words in your mouth.
No, I don't want him fired. Not to oversimplify this, but I was talking to Coach. I asked Coach, Coach, can you give me your honest opinion? Should I be an NFL head coach? And he said, you don't have a lot of qualifications since I've only really done flag football. I said, I know. I'm a 1-issue candidate. No turnovers.
Oh, yeah, that's it.
Oh, yeah. I'd get to here's the play. The Ravens in the playoffs. I would just put it on a big poster or maybe a billboard. Ravens in the playoffs since 2018. They're 3-6. They score 18 points. The other team scores 19 points. Sure. They give up the ball 16 times, and they take it away 3 times.
Right. But don't you think, 11 of those are
That's Lamar, right.
That is a Lamar stat.
It's a Lamar stat. Sure. It's on Mark Andrews. I'm just saying, I would just hammer that. I know it's so basic, but that's what this whole week.
How many interceptions did they have during the regular season?
4.
So obviously in the Josh Allen mode, he had 4 interceptions in the regular season. So to say that he wasn't protecting the football, I don't think that's fair at all. And the problem you have with a guy like Lamar is he makes so many spectacular plays. So what's the barrier for when you can make a spectacular play and when you can't. And how many times has he made a blitzing defensive back who comes free, miss, get out of the pocket, and then throw it 30 yards downfield, and everybody says, "Oh, that's an amazing
I'll take
play."
that.
No, I
You're
know.
not dropping the ball on the ground.
But with that comes the chances
Right.
where they make a great play, they get him by his legs, he drops. That could happen, and unfortunately, it did for him. So it's a balancing act. I don't think he gets into the playoffs and he's just flippant or callous about how he protects the football. Unfortunately, this has been a pattern.
Yeah.
But to say don't make the plays that have gotten
Do you
to
think
where you've
it's
gotten
mental?
to, yeah, look, sometimes in the pressure of the moment, guys try to push even further than they normally
They
would.
do too much.
And
Want it too
I
bad.
agree. He's
Like
trying
that.
to do too much.
And you got to realize that sometimes the best thing you can do is less, or what you've done is good enough to be really successful and to win games. So don't try to be a better version. You're already a great version.
Honestly, people don't like when I do the Harden and Embiid thing because people think those guys almost have athletic character flaws. Not actual character flaws, but their athletic character's not super high. Aaron Judge, it's weird because it's baseball and it's just like Peyton Manning, I'm just going to keep saying it. Your buddy Bill Simmons, when he used to write, did a whole decade of columns about the Peyton Manning face. About come the playoffs, you guys would, but it wasn't just listen.
So good.
I understand you love it, and with respect
the defensive back
to your
right
to
by Ty Law.
yeah, I mean, people think, oh, he just always lost the Patriots. The Patriots, it was great teams, beat them twice in the playoffs. It's twice ever. It was a lot of teams, and it was a lot of stuff where one thing would go a little wrong, and you saw it on his face, and it snowballed. It's also why, Brew, the second half for Lamar is a positive sign because to me, it was snowballing. He had one overthrow, then the next drive, I got to make up for it, sets the ball on the ground. Next drive, I got to make up for it, takes a bad sack, and oh my God, what the hell's happening?
Yeah.
And then second half, he was better. So I think Peyton Manning's one of the greatest quarterbacks ever. I think Lamar is, honest to God, the four greatest regular season quarterbacks I've ever seen are Peyton, Rodgers, Mahomes, and Lamar. And Mahomes probably might play himself out of that group, you know what I mean, the last couple regular seasons, so whatever it is. But he does get, we don't have to call it nervous, or he called it antsy. Yeah. I do think he is not as carefree as...
He doesn't make, in the regular season...
He's smiling.
He's playing with a looseness. Like, if you don't even want to say he gets tight, let's say, suppose you can't say he gets tight. But remember, he did a jump pass. Yeah. He'll do silly stuff that he really feels. He did his high school plays. Like, you know what I'm gonna do with my high school. And in the playoffs, he doesn't seem as carefree.
The first touchdown pass of the game.
Yes.
I'm thinking, he's going to cruise. That was regular season Lamar, and then the two miscues.
And I know we joke about the Derrick Henry stat, but and I realize that they had a significant amount of carries, but why not even be more top-heavy early?
I agree.
If you know that he's antsy, and why would you leave that stat to chance? And I get it, you gave it to Justice Hill, but I don't remember showing any stat with him.
No.
Also, I don't think Justice Hill beats up.
No, he doesn't beat up the defense. And so I want to show you, Lamar's played now 8 playoff games. So he's been a favorite. The Ravens have been a favorite in 7 of them. The only time they weren't the favorite was the game in Buffalo. So since he's been in the league, they have a losing record when favored in the playoffs. The rest of the league wins, at a 60% clip about. Here's one of the reasons I'm bringing that up. Because some people would look at that as a coaching stat. Like, hey, man, you're a favorite in the playoffs. Because Harbaugh kind of made his bones as, I think he still has the record for most road playoff wins. Because with Flacco, he has 8 road playoff victories, which is like an insane number. They were always on the road. I think that oddly adds to the pressure. He's never free money in the playoffs. I didn't think Josh Allen was, but this year. But the idea of okay, if we win, great. Even last year, facing the defending champions, he's the favorite, facing Mahomes. This year on the road, he's the favorite. Like that, and so there is that.
And if he gets this MVP,
right, and
it's going to be even more. And they're already the Super Bowl favorites. Quickly, you brought up Peyton. Look at this graphic. I don't know if you've seen this, Nick, but
Lamar versus Peyton.
These are the two teams: Lamar's Ravens, Peyton's Colts. The only two teams in NFL history to win 80 or more games in 7 years and never reach the Super Bowl. Josh Allen and the Bills will join that.
And the Colts, by the way,
if they don't win,
won the Super Bowl the next year.
Yeah.
So
he's going to win it.
Just going back to your earlier graphic where we had the takeaways versus the giveaways versus takeaways, the other thing that would really help is if they had more than 3 takeaways in all their games.
Thank you.
We love up their
Defensive
defense
culture,
constantly. 3 takeaways in that amount of games is problematic too.
Is some of that because they get behind and the other team with the lead can be a little more conservative?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, to some degree, but when you start getting into volume of games, I mean, there should be.
I mean, they're getting the ball
3.
punched out too. Like the other teams.
Yeah, the Andrews fumble was a great
games.
defensive play, but you got to know.
Same against the Chiefs.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.